Their eyes is limited to few clumsy habits they might have. Maybe they keep their room dirty and all the time I'm only thinking about that. This also they don't know, that also they don't know, this also they don't do. So where, or talents, am I just focused there, and even there I'm finding issues. They're okay in tennis, but they're not the best. They don't try hard enough, they don't practice hard enough. And then on worst part is we start comparing them with others, and then we either push them, pressurize them, or we feel jealous of other kids and so on. So this is a very limited vision that we can have of our kids. If we are all focusing only on this much, then we are really not enabling them or empowering them to be a well balanced adult. Just focusing heavily on the external decoration, that's all, right? What is that inner being? What are the inner qualities and specialities of the child? If we are not connected to that, if we know them really at the superficial level, we are not able to guide them towards their higher potential, because all we'll focus on is eat, 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 exercise, keep this healthy, education, push them for this, but it could be at the cost of making them feel very low. Habits constantly nagging them, annoying them, or pushing them. So when our focus is on these small, small things and we don't have a long term, what is the North Star? Where is it that I want my child? There is no clear cut vision there. Then we are stuck here, everyday battles in these areas. And when we start battling here, there is something that gets lost. So, we also talked about how this physical world, focusing only that we are only a physical human being made out of this matter, we don't even have a sense of spiritual awareness. That's why everything we think is limited. Love is limited, peace is limited. We feel everything will end and everything is inconsistent. And on top of it, we focus only on these external stuff. Whereas the spiritual stuff is that I am a soul, this point of light, and I have this body. We never say I, the body, we say my body. And it is the soul that says my body. So, this spiritual awareness that we come from an unlimited world which has no boundaries. Um, it's filled with golden red light and silence. There is no limits of time or space or nothing like that. This is an unlimited place. This is our home, the spiritual home, Nirvana. And these are all 7 billion souls, if you want to call them, that there are 7 plus billion souls here. And this is the supreme soul. So when I identify myself also as a spiritual being and not just this matter, automatically my focus goes on to unlimited. I start focusing on my inner self, my peace, my power, my qualities, that I'm an eternal being. Death cannot kill, death cannot finish me, right? So, and then this being in this awareness causes us to be very fearful because we feel success is limited. Um, you know, relationships are perishable, happiness is here today, it might not be there tomorrow. So we are constantly going through a lot of negativity, because physical world, this is the nature. And if you only identify yourself as this physical being, you will have all of these qualities. And when we push our kids by comparison and make a lot of competitive kind of comments, that generates a lot of fear in them. A sense of security is gone. And constantly, when things are changing, there's a discontentment. And even when you try to control things here, success is still not coming in your control. So you feel helpless and powerless. And that's why it's so important to charge ourselves, be in our spiritual awareness, and understand that our eternal parent is considered to be ocean of all of these beautiful qualities. And as a child, as the soul is the child of the supreme soul, we inherit all of this wealth. It's part of us already, we are not using it. Anything wrong happens, first thing we let go of is peace. And we invite stress, fear. Hey, please, my buddies, come over. You will be helpful. I don't need peace at this time. Peace is later once this crisis goes away. But when we understand that peace is the biggest power, it is my strength, I will keep it. I will not let the disturbance of this physical world take away the stability of my spiritual self. So, this particular realization then leads from a handicapped identity where we are only looking at their physical stuff, what the habits they've developed, how they are academically, how they are in the extracurricular activities, what is their height, weight, color, the external beauty. That limited really handicaps them. Their potential, what should they be aiming for, becomes very limited, and constant struggles in achieving that physical success versus really looking at them as the divine being, a soul whose potential is the highest, and the dependency on the external world completely finishes. Instead, we tap into our inner resources. So, as a parent, we can actually help our child in all of these six faculties, and we will go over them one by one in the next few minutes. Like, literally, how can we enable our child? How do we look at our kids with a different vision? Yes, remember that diagram that we had where there were multiple steps and then there is a north star. So yes, all of these physical things where we do need to teach them healthy eating habits, good sleeping habits, whatever we can do in their education, get them academically right, those are all small steps. But the long step, really, the vision is for them to be ready to handle life. In taking care of these small steps, we need to make sure, are we in any ways chopping away their wings of enthusiasm and zeal? Are we unknowingly creating a self doubt in them? Are we unknowingly instilling fear and putting stress and pressure on them because we are so caught up in those small steps, right? So it's not just parents' job is not just to, take care of all these small things, but I feel the biggest one is how do we empower them, make them strong and independent. Remember that tree diagram we had talked about where the roots is where the soul is sitting. Everything, all the nourishment, the strength, the support is at the root level. If that is weak and we are taking care of only the branches, fattening up the branches, oh my gosh, your body, your health, oh my gosh, what will you do? You don't have any life skills. We constantly nag them, put pressure on them. Academics, you're not doing well here, you're not doing there. Your extracurricular branch is looking weak. So we keep pushing them and thinking only of the branches. But in taking care of all of that, what if their roots are becoming weak? What if they're not feeling secured anymore? What if they're feeling too much of pressure? What if they feel like I can't talk to my parents openly? So, if the roots become weak, that nourishment that they need to handle the storms of life that will come, and we had talked about how unlimited confidence is needed, it's very difficult. So, we will now start, talking about each of these things in more detailed manner on what can we as a parent do to encourage them so that our main job, I feel, is to strengthen their roots, that strong support system, so that that roots keeps providing the nourishment. And we had also talked about the external versus inner qualities, right? So if the inner qualities are not developing and we are only focusing on that external, decoration, bells and whistles, we also saw how nobody appreciates a person who does not have beautiful inner qualities. They are a critical block to have acceptance and regard in this world. Whether you want to run a family, You want to work somewhere, do a business without having some beautiful qualities, it's very going to be very hard. So really the intent of this series has been to see that we don't get lost in these small things and we focus on the bigger things. And how, when we focus on the roots, the external stuff automatically gets decorated. This is my take at it. And yes, it does require patience for sure. It doesn't happen just like that. And that is what we all need to adopt. And once they are seated on these strong roots, completely independent, relying only on their inner resources for confidence, these roots are so strong, they don't doubt themselves ever, then they constantly find themselves lovable. And this is not the narcissist kind of love where very self-centered, nothing like that. But literally they've learned how to accept their good and bad. They've learned how to hug themselves with their strengths and weaknesses. And it's not a careless kind of a love where they don't care about weaknesses. They do, but they understand love is the ingredient to change everything. So these are the kind of seeds we as parents need to put in them so that they never feel insecure even when there is a setback that comes in their way, right? Don't we? I mean, if you ask yourself this question, what would you want your child to have? You wouldn't just say a great job or just a great family. You would want him to have a happy life, a peaceful life, for him to be courageous and be able to handle everything, right? So, when we all know that is what we want, so shouldn't we be putting some water in that direction? And it just doesn't come. A job will not give you peace and happiness. It cannot. It can actually take away a lot of your peace and happiness if you've not learned how to nourish your, if you've not learned how to take care of your roots, which actually nourish you. So, first one that we will talk and instills confidence, first idea here is to embrace their uniqueness. Many times we get so busy in trying to make them something that they are not. And in this uniqueness comes both positive and negative trait. They could have one quality which is really, really unique, could be extreme clumsy, or maybe has some other habit which is very, very disturbing. But yet, that is unique in them. Can I just be okay with it? Acceptance is the first step before we can even guide them to change it. So, am I comfortable with it? Nobody in this world is same. Yes, there are some similarities, but I think it's a very common understanding that each one of us is unique. And I feel as a parent, we need to preserve their uniqueness, not really be busy in making them someone like us or like someone else. We have our own dreams that we couldn't fulfill. So we now want, sometimes it's very subtle. I wanted to be this, I couldn't. So we are now busy pushing our kids to be what we wanted to always be. So they might have their unique set of qualities, personalities, their own set of choices, preferences, dislikes, likes. Do I support their uniqueness? Or this quality where we support, it doesn't mean that we don't guide them and gently see how we can get help them to leave that negative trait that they might have. But we need to have that deep understanding that there is nobody in this world who doesn't have a negative. Well, that's a big statement. There are very few in this world who have no negative trait, including ourselves, right? If we look at ourselves, don't we? And we all know that it is not easy to leave some of the negative traits. Mainly, if you remember the last week picture of layers and layers of subconscious, where one of them was past life. So, if my child is carrying some of the weaknesses from the last birth, it's not going to be very easy for them to give it up just like that. So it's not just their specialities and talents that are unique, their face is unique, everything is unique. And when we support this and we don't constantly try to change them and want them to be someone else, just like us or like somebody else, this actually helps them to stand up against the peer pressure. For example, this was something where I was a little bit of concerned, where a lot of kids I have seen personally where they will change their shoes and everything before going home. They're wearing all kinds of things to school, maybe because parents don't want them to. And then before going home, they change. And I was absolutely like, obviously, I didn't want my daughter to wear all kinds of, not so decent clothes. Whatever is reasonable. Yes, it's a new generation, so I understand. But still, there needs to be some kind of my definition of decency or whatever you might want to call it. I was hoping that she would have that much because I didn't want to be that parent who says no, 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 and then later find out that she's anyways doing it. So when you start supporting their uniqueness, even though there's some part of it is not good, you accept it, they feel comfortable in being unique. They get some support of a kind of blanket of security that it's okay to be little different. And I tell my daughter, this is something that we are taught at Brahma Kumaris, and I'm sure you've heard of it before also. Why be a sheep in the herd? Be the lion who walks alone. Sometimes it's okay, not with arrogance, but just, I am different, I am unique, and this one I can't compromise on. There are many beautiful values and principles as a parent we teach, but the peer pressure is so high. And this wanting to be liked and accepted by friends is so high that they give in. And when these are a lot of subtle things as a parent which are telling them. If parents are also wanting them to be just like everyone else, then they give in very quickly to peer pressure. It doesn't mean every time they will not give in or they will not do, but it's a huge sign that some of those principles and values they will not compromise upon because they got that nurturing which supported them, and where the parents were okay with their uniqueness. And the biggest thing where we kill their uniqueness is when we start comparing. When we start comparing, your friend is doing this, or they're going to this coaching also, or they're participating in this marathon event, or this particular whatever that might be. There are so many different things that parents do. And um, and when we start also comparing the weaknesses and strengths, parents also compare the physical build, they compare in sports how they are doing, or what kind of classes they're going, what kinds of grades they're doing, um, all kinds of things. Comparison automatically puts in the seeds of competition in kids, and competition automatically means fear. They will enjoy the time when they are number one, and we will also be super excited and we'll keep praising them and all of that. Immediately, it is followed by fear. Oh my gosh, and a lot of pressure. I need to maintain, otherwise, my parents will not be as excited. They will not be as proud of me. And then they're going to tell me. And I have seen many parents do this to their kids, specifically use the name of their friends and see, your friend is like that, he does like this, they're also doing this, they're also learning this, what are you doing, you're not doing any classes. Literally, this kind of comparison at that physical awareness level, If we have to really even talk and encourage them, comparison is a very bad way to encourage kids. It really demotivates them and also instills the seeds of jealousy in them because they feel their parents are more proud of their friends or their siblings or their cousins. They are jealous now of their friends or kids. So, what are we doing to their roots? They're becoming weak. Now they have jealousy, they have pressure, they have fear. How are the roots doing? Can they manage the tree of their life? If their roots are weak, now they are feeling pressure, jealousy, insecurity. So, highly recommend every day to do some self reflection. Check how were you, did you in any ways, and habits die, take time, so it's okay. It's not about to feel guilty at all or to feel overwhelmed. Till we don't realize, nothing will change. Realization is the biggest step, I would say, a huge step in the right direction towards being spiritually and emotionally healthy. So every day checking, what is my vision? Where do I want my child to be? Did I do anything to damage their roots? This checking every day just takes 5 minutes. Take a pen and book, write down. And also note down if you were mean to yourself. Did you pour any kind of toxin in your own roots? One is pouring in other person's roots. Did you pour any in your roots? Self reflection is a huge plus. It really helps in correcting the same mistakes will not happen. The speed will reduce, intensity will be reduced if every day we are noting down and telling ourselves, hey, no more of this. Tomorrow, this is how I'm going to do it, not this way. But if we don't even note it, mindlessly we are using those old techniques which are actually demoralizing them, discouraging them, then we are really in a bad shape. And then, like we just said, unique personality means a set of unique positive and negative traits. As a parent, I preserve their uniqueness by looking at their strengths. It becomes very easy. And the more we look at their small things, that small thing could be they're always clumsy, they spill, or they, leave their things, they're very disorganized. Could be that they're not very good at one particular subject, could be all of those things. What am I focusing on? Wherever the attention goes, it's literally the water, energy flows and things grow. So if I only look at their weaknesses and I'm busy trying to remove all of them, this should is also wrong, this is also wrong, constantly giving them instructions to change, then really soon I will find even more weaknesses in them. We develop an eye that looks only on weaknesses. And it really it really ruins the relationship. And focusing on weaknesses is automatically a deep registration inside the parent's mind that my child is not good enough. What will I do? How will I handle? All things are wrong in my child. It's a very subtle. And again, many times, if we are not meditating, we won't even catch all kinds of doubts we start having about our child's future. So, indeed, acknowledge and accept that we are all unique. They have set of positive and negative, and take time to every day note down the specialities of your kid. And every time your mind starts talking about the weaknesses, immediately say, hey, but can you list me three specialities of my child? And see how after some time their weaknesses will not look like a big deal. So this is one of the things that is really, really hard, to be somebody that you are not. Suppose their friend or their cousin or somebody has a very great quality of always keeping their room organized or always doing the homework first, and so on and on. We compare and we keep nagging them that you should be like this, you should be like this. And they might, our child also might have many specialities which the cousin or the sibling might not even have, but we are too focused on looking in their weaknesses and strengths of others. And then when we keep pushing our child to be something that they are not, that is, for them, that weakness has been practiced, they have practiced it for quite a long time, that it's very difficult for them to give that up. So, yes, as a parent, we do want them to be, full of qualities and strengths. But sometimes we need to accept that some of their things, it's just they've practiced it so long being clumsy that it's not going to naturally come just like that. They might never be the most cleanliest person, but what can I do to give them some small, small lessons to be a little less clumsy than other? It is more easy to be the personality you are versus be someone else, right? It is very uncomfortable. Suppose I am an introvert and my parents keep pushing me to be an extrovert just because, oh, you need to be, otherwise you'll not do well in life, you won't even get married to someone nice, blah 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 blah. And we keep pushing. It's very difficult and it makes the child very uncomfortable. And indeed, whatever they do becomes, they're not able to enjoy, even if though, for example, a lot of pressure, they start now becoming more of an extrovert personality, they're never going to enjoy life because it doesn't come naturally to them. So as a parent, yes, we should try and encourage, but if you're seeing a lot of resistance, then maybe they need to be in an area where being an introvert is also okay. There's so many such careers where it is okay. Both of my kids are not so much of an extrovert, mainly because even I am not. Not that I'm an extreme kind of an introvert or anything. One of my child is an extreme introvert, and that child is enjoying the COVID situation because no people, nothing. Now I, as a parent, can start worrying and being concerned. Oh my gosh, what will happen? Versus accepting unique. Yes, this is their quality, and yes, I do encourage her to mingle and everything, and she does. It's not like there's nothing at all, but I am comfortable with it. Whatever she has, what can I enhance in those qualities and see how can I help her in letting go of some of her weaknesses. But pushing them be someone else is a very scary thing, and it's literally becomes very unhealthy because they become very disturbed internally if they have to be someone that they are not. Being unnatural leads to emotional and spiritual instability. Unhealed die. The self becomes unhealthy, just like this color of the banana. So, very important. Highly recommend you all to realize and acknowledge what is the uniqueness in you. What is the uniqueness in your child? Write down both their strengths and weaknesses and say, are you okay? Are you okay with the whole package the way they are? Aren't they much more than those some habits and some subjects, how they are doing and their own physical appearance? Are they much more than that to you? Or is it that you're caught up in their negativity? Good to always self-reflect. I know majority of you have noted lot of their strengths already and you realize that your child is indeed special and valuable. But many times when we are too busy, we don't even realize when this mind has only started talking negatively about the child, has lot of doubts about their future. The second one that wanted to go over, we'll go over there are four more concepts. We'll go over them next class, but today we'll go over this one: empower decision making. Uh, as a child, this is such an important quality for them to develop now, not later. And we all know how crucial is decision making. Every step of their life, we are making decisions. Left and right, we are making decisions. And this is the best time for us to be there as an observer and see what kind of decisions they are making. And even if we don't agree with it, can we still let them make it? Even if we think this might affect the way their life will turn out, as long as obviously safety and health is very important. We are not talking about those aspects, but generally parents interfere a lot with the career related decisions, education related decisions. So this is a very valuable gift that as a parent I can give, that the kid has utter confidence in their decision making. They've seen how they've been making decisions, how the parents have been there and as really an invisible supporter. They've been kind of like, fixing all the holes and the gaps that the plan of the child has created, and not even let the child feel that, hey, we had to do a lot of things for your decision. This, when they learn this while being with us, this is a very important step. And we as parents many times feel, oh my gosh, no, we shouldn't let them go through this. One, be in their thing. No, let me push them to study. Let them do this extra hard work. I should tell. Otherwise, if they get B, their life will be ruined. Sometimes maybe it is okay for them to get that B and realize what it means to be responsible and to make sure that they are out of it. Otherwise, whole life, what are we doing? Nagging, hey, you will get, if you don't study now, you B might come, C might come, you might miss this, hey, you haven't registered for this test course. Shouldn't they be independent and handle all this? And we as a side, you know, scene watcher, observe and yes, interfere and subtly guide them. But there is no valuable lesson than the experience of what it means to make a decision. And doesn't mean that we don't tell them what our choice is. For example, you know, like everything, like my one kid is in college, second one is in Monta Vista. A lot of times the course selection, everything, we have certain opinion about, hey, based on the teacher, based on the curriculum, and you're taking so many courses, this might be better. But she feels comfortable telling us that, hey, no, I want to do this instead. We still give her this, and this might happen if you choose this. And after that, also, if she says, no, I will manage, I want to do it, we fully support. And what does it mean? Even if she fails after making the decision, she realizes that this was a wrong decision. I should have listened to my parent. Never will we tell, hey, we told you so. No, we help the child at that particular moment to see what can we do to get them out. And wouldn't we want them to learn all the lessons, make the mistakes while we are there as a silent observer, invisible observer? Won't we want them to do all of that now while we are there to guide and take them out? Slowly teach them how, what does a right decision making involve? Or would we want them to, like, fully control once they reach college and now they're like, they don't know how to make any decision. Whole life they've been dependent on parents. Parents have been controlling or too much involvement. It becomes very scary for the child, or whatever decision they make will not be good because they never independently made it. So even while our child was selecting colleges and everything, we had a different opinion, child had a different opinion, went with it. And after that, full support. Till he didn't go, we did have advice and things for him. But once he made his decision is the right decision. That much support. No ego that, hey, we told you so, you shouldn't have done. No, nothing like that. Um, and when they realize, after making that decision, they realize what the parents were telling was right. They themselves, not by us telling, hey, we told you so, it finishes everything. That spoils the relationship the moment we said, we told you so, versus not even bringing it up, but the child subtly recognizing that, oh my gosh, indeed, parents are right. They are a very good guide. This is a huge realization. If the kid gets this understanding in life, when they'll run into difficulties, which has happened with um, my child who's in college, he reaches out to us when he has issues and not to his friends. If the parents are constantly telling, hey, why did you make that decision? Your mistake, now deal with it. Or we told you so and help, but told you so. See, now what mess has been created. They will never reach out to us. So while they are with us, we want to do everything that enables them to trust us fully and also subtly recognize that parents are indeed wise due to their experience. Not because parents keep telling, hey, we are wise, we've seen more world, but really for them to experience that parents' advice is indeed right. And when that kind of, trust and support happens, where even though parents' opinions is different, child selects, feels free to still do whatever he wants and she wants, and still feels comfortable that the parents' love will keep flowing, support will keep flowing. And then even during failures, he knows even if the decision is wrong, the child knows that parents are still there, their support is still there. How wonderful does that relationship become? This becomes like a friendship. It's no more of that ego that I, the parent, has more experience and you, the child, is still young, doesn't know anything. No more that gap exists. Parents can only break that gap, kids cannot. We have to break the gap because we create it by constantly telling them we know better, or you should listen to us, have everything in good interest for you and things like that. When we start talking, there becomes a gap, a generation gap that kids start calling later, versus when we start supporting their decision making, and then even if there is a failure, we still continue to support with a lot of love, that relationship turns into being a friendship. And then any time in future they are in crisis or there is anything to share, they will continue to rely on parents than on anybody else. So it's a huge decision making ability to make it and then go through it, see through it. These are like even wrong decisions, you need to know how to deal with it, right? And if parents slowly teach them that, okay, if it's a wrong decision also, you can still correct it, nothing goes wrong, nothing is like, broken means broken. No, there are ways to fix it again. These are such valuable lessons to teach, versus no, everything should be perfect, don't do this, this will happen. Things will anyways happen. So why not let them make the decision, let that happen, and then we support them. With that, I wanted to stop now for Q&A, and we can then continue the next things in the next class, the more tips that we had. Um, so I see one question here in the Q&A box, and feel free to unmute yourself and also ask your questions. Um, so here, while comparison with others is definitely not empowering, can we encourage our kids to strive to be better versions of themselves? Or is that also somehow hurting their uniqueness by subconsciously telling them that we prefer their positive qualities to their negative ones? Also, how to do this in the right way that encourages them? Um, I think when acceptance, right? When acceptance really doesn't mean that we agree with their negative qualities or we ignore them. Absolutely, yes, we should encourage them, but just check internally, how are you feeling about it? Are you okay with it? So as long as there is not this restlessness and this dislike, and hatred is a strong word, we don't have that, but there is a strong dislike for that um, weakness, and a lot of irritation inside, and then you tell them anything, it doesn't help. But so I do talk to my kids about one of them who will not exercise that regularly. I will, in many, many different ways, I will remind. It doesn't mean that I don't ignore it, because I know it's such an important habit. And now, especially during COVID, there is no walking, nothing happening. So I do. But I focus so much on their strengths and praise them and all of that, that whenever I give them this feedback here and there about their weaknesses, they know now that it is for their own good. And again, it's not in a nagging and pushing kind of manner, but it's gentle reminders here and there. And now that child has made a whole plan of 4 to 5 days at least, how they're going to create a planner of exercising. And I was like, wow, this is good. So yes, we do need to encourage, and do whatever we can to help them towards it. I can take some other questions. We do have some more time. That was the only one I saw on the Q&A.
Hello.
Hi.
Very good presentation. I really appreciate that. One of the questions I had was that what kind of tips would you give to your child to analyze and be able to make right decisions? Because there is a cost of making a wrong decision. I agree with that, and you should support them. But what kind of tips you can give them so that you do the right thing the first time?
I mean, here really it comes down to a choice, right? And generally there's one or two choices. Sometimes there are multiple choices. As a parent, you will have one choice and they will have one choice. And I think the only best part you can do is share with them why your choice, what is the reason of your stand, why did you choose that? So explain to them openly, and also say, I would like to understand the reason for your choice. And then after that, it's really their decision. And we can also tell them that, hey, with your choice of this, I feel this might go wrong, but you decide how it is going to be, right? So I think it's not really more of giving them tips on how to make the right decision. It's really practically is how you have to learn this. And when we open to them our mindset, how we came to this decision, what are the things we looked at, that itself enables them to think a little bit more. And when they start, when it is done with no pressure at all, and when we ask them, what is your point, how did you choose this, what are the reasonings, when there is no pressure, they will open up. And then we can have this discussion that, hey, what about if this goes wrong, what do you think you will do then? And again, the intent is not to change their opinion. The intent is really to make their thinking more broader. And at that moment, it might not be. They might not be able to see everything. But as they practically take these independent decisions, their thinking will become a lot more broad minded. Vision will become far sighted. But if they don't even practice it, then they are in for a lot of danger ahead.
I think I like the idea of telling them that don't worry about the failures. Failures could happen, and that's the pillars of success. But one of the things that is a tip I have given is that get information and don't start making decisions without information. Analyze the information and then go with it. So
Wonderful. Any other
information
question? Yeah.
information is important.
Right, that's what we were trying to ask them, right? How did they come to that decision? Is indeed they would have done some research, right? So obviously they've made that decision based on information. So yes, it's important for us to understand their viewpoint rather than challenge it. Yep. Any other questions? Please go ahead, Meenal. I think you should be able to. Are you able to talk? Yeah.
So it's a kind of a basic question. So now I take kids as more advanced than us, so they know what it is, right? So they have seen the path. They know that they need to work a bit hard here, and then they try to find out some shortcuts around it. So how to make them go through the long path and attain the experience that they want, rather than um, getting through the shortcut and taking up a decision because it would result in a less amount of work done or something like that.
Yeah. These are also all things that they need to experience and realize what would a shortcut give them versus what would a long path really give them. I think as a parent we can only tell them that what will this result. For me, one of the biggest things that I have seen that the kids listen based on your internal energy. If the energy is of rejection, frustration, irritation, they don't get it, I don't know how to get it to them, my gosh, lazy kids, and what is this generation? If this is the energy you go and talk with them, they will not get anything. But you go with a complete open mindedness. Yes, this current generation is like that. They want all shortcuts. They like everything with distraction. There is no focus. This is how it is. But now, all of this, what can I do to still help? If that energy inside is nice, we can certainly keep telling them the advantages and disadvantages. And for them to also realize that how little they are getting by taking this shortcut versus what all can they get if they really do a little bit of more hard work. So for my child also many times who's in high school feels gets no time for any kind of fun or anything. And I keep telling her that, till 12th grade, pretty much there was absolutely no fun at all growing up in India. There's so much of entrance exams and this and that. And I said, who did I do all that for? I was not doing it for teachers or anyone. I did it for my own sake. I knew my life would be at least as academically in a lot better shape if I put in some time here. So I was telling her that all these shortcuts of, doing that little bit of here and there studying or little bit of video here and there doesn't work. You need to practice, and this hard work you will make you more proud about yourself. So there are certain things that we can talk to them, but we might not be able to change their viewpoint. But sometimes just these conversations get registered in them, and it triggers when they see some failure or something that goes really bad. Those words emerge, and then they realize that indeed what the parent had said was the right thing. At least for me, those aha moments have been there, from whatever few seeds my parents left in me. Those do trigger, and even if it is late, but at least they realize it later. So all we can do is give them some information and guidance. Since we are all out of time, we'll go ahead and just practice meditation now. If you have few minutes, please stay back. I am a pure being of light. am the creator of the most beautiful qualities: peace, love, and happiness. And when I, the soul, create these qualities through my thoughts, day in and day out, then my roots get nourished. And when I look to the Supreme Soul, the spiritual sun, to absorb his vibrations, then the nourishment exponentially increases. I, the peaceful, loving, and happy soul, will automatically be a beautiful parent, a parent that is a river of flowing love, kindness, and compassion, a parent that never gives up on the child. But without nourishing my roots, I cannot give anything. I need to serve myself first before I can serve my family. If I'm only creating stress, irritation, restlessness, then this is what I will give to my family. So I, the smart parent, chooses to take care of thyself and nourish my roots daily in meditation by connecting to God and to my eternal self. Thank you everyone for joining us today. We'll see you next week, same time for the last class.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, sister.
Thank you. Om Shanti.